It started with a group text from my mom. "Can you be here by 4? Your brother and his wife need to leave by 5. The kids will already be fed." There was no greeting, no please, not even a check to see if I was available. Just an order, as if my life were an afterthought scheduled around their convenience. I had just gotten home from a 12-hour shift at the clinic. I was tired. My shoes were still on. My back ached. I hadn't even eaten. And here it was again, the same expectation, the same assumption, that I, the spare child, the unmarried one with nothing better to do, would be ready to raise children that weren't mine simply because no one else wanted to. I typed back a simple, "I can't today, I have plans." 3 minutes passed. No response. Then came the storm. My phone buzzed over and over again. Mom? Dad? Even my older brother Jake chimed in. "Unbelievable," Mom texted. "After everything we've done for you." Dad followed with, "Don't forget who paid your tuition." Jake, of course, never missed an opportunity. "Wow, selfish much? All you do is sit at your job all day." The job they referred to? I was managing a community health clinic, overseeing patient care, managing scheduling, and handling insurance messes they'd never begin to understand. But to them, it wasn't real work because it didn't serve them. The next day, they showed up at my apartment. I thought they were there to talk, maybe clear the air, but they came with a garbage bag full of my childhood belongings and a message. "You don't value family, so you're no longer welcome in ours." Dad didn't even look me in the eye. He just dropped the bag in my doorway and turned back toward the car. Mom's voice trembled with performative pain. "It breaks my heart, but we can't keep enabling your behavior." I stood there, speechless. Years of thankless babysitting, missed nights out, sacrificed weekends, all erased in a single act of defiance. All because I said no. My apartment wasn't fancy. I had no inheritance, no safety net. But what I had, what they never understood, was self-respect. And that day, as they walked away like I was a stranger, I made a quiet promise to myself. They will never use me again. Not for my time, not for my labor, not for my silence. I didn't cry that night. I didn't beg to be let back in. Instead, I stayed up late drafting something that would make them feel everything they made me feel. Not in words, not in screams, but in numbers. By morning, I had outlined an invoice. Every hour I had babysat. Every weekend I'd rearranged. Every birthday party I was asked to host while my brother and his wife took mini vacations. I even calculated the hours I spent helping with school projects, pickups, drop-offs, cleaning up after their kids. I cross-checked average babysitting rates in our state, added in meals I covered, clothes I bought, gas money I never asked for. By noon, the invoice totaled $50,120. It wasn't just a number. It was proof. Proof that I had given more to that family than they ever gave me. Proof that I mattered, even if they never saw it. I printed it out, slid it into a manila envelope, and addressed it to the people who said I was selfish. I didn't mail it just yet. No, revenge like this had to be savored, timed just right. I had a better plan, and I was just getting started. The days that followed were a strange mix of silence and resolve. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I didn't even text them back. The door that slammed behind me that night became symbolic, not just of being kicked out of their home, but of stepping out of a lifetime of being used. My parents had always known I was reliable, responsible, easy to guilt and manipulate, but this time, something inside me had shifted, and I wasn't going to be that daughter anymore. I rented a tiny studio apartment. Not much, but it was mine. The mattress was on the floor, and the walls echoed when I moved, but that space became my sanctuary. I started freelancing online and soon picked up steady work in virtual admin and budgeting. I worked quietly, paid off my college loan in 6 months, and stacked my savings like bricks. No one noticed, because they never asked. Meanwhile, my brother was thriving in his irresponsibility. He and his wife would send photos in the family group chat, vacations, dinners, gifts from my parents to the kids. My old room? It was now a nursery for their second baby. My mother once commented on a post, So glad this room is being used for something meaningful now. That burned more than I admitted. They continued to text me casually, pretending like nothing ever happened. Once, my mom wrote, "Hey, honey, need you to come over Saturday. We want to take a short trip and need someone to watch the kids again." No apology, no acknowledgement, just a recycled expectation that I would drop everything for their convenience. So I replied, but not how they expected. I drafted a formal invoice, not just for that one night, but for every unpaid babysitting shift I had ever done. I broke it down professionally: hourly rates, overnight rates, holiday surcharges, emotional labor fees, and even a displacement penalty for being kicked out. It totaled $50,000, and I sent it to them with a clean subject line: outstanding balance for childcare services. They thought I was joking. My dad called me laughing, "What is this nonsense?" But I didn't answer. My brother texted furious, "Are you actually trying to rob mom and dad?" My mom, though, called crying, not apologizing, but accusing me of being heartless. But I held my ground. I sent a second follow-up with legal language and a notice that if the invoice was ignored, I'd proceed with small claims court. I even had timestamps, text evidence, and photos of the times I babysat, neatly cataloged. I never planned to actually take them to court, but the point wasn't the money. It was respect. And for once, they had no choice but to take me seriously. The silence that followed was heavy, but I wore it like armor. No more apologies, no more explanations. I had spoken in their language, money and consequences, and suddenly, I wasn't invisible anymore, but I wasn't done. The real twist wasn't just the invoice. I had a bigger plan in mind, one that would bring this story full circle and make sure they never used me again. Months passed, I didn't hear from them, and truthfully, I didn't need to. I kept building, quietly, methodically. My freelance work evolved into a full-time business consulting firm, and I became known for helping small businesses fix their financial chaos. The very chaos my own family once dumped on me for free. I hired a small team, upgraded to a larger apartment, then to a townhouse. By the end of the year, I was making 6 figures, all self-built, all without a single favor or dollar from the people who raised me. One night, I got a message from my brother's wife. She was frantic. "Your parents are about to lose the house. Dad took a loan against it to help us with the down payment on ours, and now the bank's calling it in." I didn't reply. The next day, my mother finally called. Her voice trembled. "Sweetheart, I know things have been rough, but we need help. The house, your childhood home, it's being foreclosed. We don't want to end up on the street." I listened. I didn't interrupt. I let her pour every drop of desperation into my voicemail. And then I did something that shocked even me. I called the bank, not as a family member, but as a buyer. Because over the past 6 months, I'd been keeping tabs. I knew the house was in trouble. I had seen the liens and defaults in public records. I had waited, patiently, painfully, until the bank listed the property for sale. And then I made my move. I bought the house. Cash. Not to save it, but to own the very place where I'd once been forced to sleep in the kitchen, told to babysit instead of live, and made to feel like my only worth was what I could do for others. When the papers were finalized, I drove there. The lawn was overgrown. The paint was chipped. My parents stood on the porch, clinging to each other in disbelief. My brother's kids peeked out from the doorway, unaware that this moment was history in the making. I stepped out of my car, dressed in confidence, in freedom, in everything they never believed I could become. "Why are you here?" my dad barked. I handed him the official notice. "You have 30 days to vacate. I own the property now." He turned pale. My mother sobbed. "You can't do this! We raised you!" I looked her straight in the eye. "You raised a babysitter. You raised a backup plan. Not a daughter." Then I turned to leave, but not before I added the final twist. "I'm converting this house into a sanctuary for young women, girls who are kicked out, overlooked, or expected to give without ever receiving. This kitchen, it'll feed someone who deserves to be fed. This bedroom, it'll house someone who knows her worth. I may have been nothing to you in this house, but I'll make sure it means something to someone else." They didn't scream. They didn't beg. They just stood there, stunned, silent, powerless. For once, the roles had flipped. And as I drove away, I didn't feel bitterness. I felt peace. Because revenge isn't always about hurting back. Sometimes it's about healing forward. And I healed. In full, poetic, radiant silence. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.